Bernadette.
I'm Bernadette Bridget, and I'm supervisor of Red Cuff workers. We have Green Thumb, we have CETA, Titles 2, 6, Work Experience, Titles 1, we have Title 3 through Great Lakes, and seated on my left is Alex Roy, who is a Green Thumb worker for Park and Maintenance. On my right is Ben Topping, who is a Title 2 worker out of CETA SEP. And next to him is Edward Roy, who is a Green Thumb worker also for Park and Maintenance. Next to him is Marilyn Charette for Title 3 Housekeeper Aide, helping the elderly. Seated next is Mary Livingston, who is Title 10 Secretary. And Caroline Nawago is next. She's also Green Thumb. She's a helper with arts and crafts and maintenance.
That's okay. You did all right.
The next one is Agnes Antosh, who is employed by Green Thumb as an instructor for crafts. And Bernadette Topping, who is on the Title 3 program as a housekeeper aide. Veronica Nawago, who is Title 1 work experience out of CETA SEP, is all-around worker. Their general work right now is mostly in working with elderly and in crafts.
There's a lot of crafts that's being displayed out in the exhibit area, and Agnes was putting up some stuff. Could she talk about what she was putting up?
Those are refrigerator trims that we had, we call them the NYC Neighborhood Youth Corps.
Yeah.
They help during the winter and up until 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. We have been making beadwork and arts and crafts foam refrigerator trims. And we are going to do other things this winter, like making blankets and different craft cleanings we're talking about. All beadwork and all items that are on display in the other room here are made by Indian people. The only things that are not made here are the baskets. They're made by Indians from another tribe.
Winnebago.
Winnebago Indians. That's all I can say.
Quite a bit. Does everybody do beadwork or just certain people?
No, all the girls do it, and all of the ladies that are on the Green Thumb. Not the men.
Men don't do
No.
The only part the men do are the sorting of beads, or like on the God's eyes, the newer God's eyes that we have, the twirly kind there, they've been putting together for us, the sticks and stuff. But the men are mostly in line with making picture frames or signs.
They help out in the campground too.
They help in the campground. And that's about it.
You had a bigger staff this summer? You had the kids here?
Yeah, we had 60, wait a minute, we must have 60 some kids here through a youth work experience. And they worked all over the reservation, in the elderly homes, helping, cutting grass in the park, cemetery, getting that in shape, cleaning of the church and the office buildings, and at the elderly feeding, wherever they're needed.
Is Duck a good supervisor?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I had to have my coffee.
I'm sitting here, why don't you wait till I left? Get an honest opinion. That's not fair, Walt.
Yes, he is.
Okay. You don't take that old West coffee and go to
Hit the wrong button there. Okay, let's do the canoe. Oh, and I can't do the canoe. Okay. And right back along the top rim. I can't get in this. caught you chewing gum.
I'd like to talk to Dee Bainbridge, who's been working at Bayfield School as the culture coordinator. Dee, in education, what are some of the important things that you're working in, or the things that you feel important?
Well, we're trying to introduce some of the Indian culture into the curriculum and expose some of the characteristics of, say, our own Chippewa culture, so that
we're talking now to Dee Bainbridge. Dee is a member of the Red Cliff Band. Dee Bainbridge we're going to be talking to for a little bit. Dee is a member of the Red Cliff Band, and she's locally known, at least right now, as being part of the public school system. I was just wondering if she could explain to us some of her duties or some of her works that she does in the school.
well, my title at the school is Indian Culture Coordinator, and I'm working for the Urban Rural School Development Program. That's a federally funded program, and it's been at the Bayfield School for 5 years. I think this is the 6th year. I'm supposed to help teachers with some curriculum development, and we were doing some research on the characteristics or the cultural aspects of, you know, the Chippewa people.
Where did you go to school to learn this?
I didn't go to school to learn this. My grandmother taught me, you know, what she knew about the culture. She was full-blood Chippewa Indian. She spoke the language, and she told stories about Buju, and she used Indian medicines when she was sick, and then a lot of that kind of stayed with me. And then, of course, she was with me for most of my life, I guess, so that she was there all the time as a resource person that I could ask when some of the materials did become available, like books were being reprinted that talked about Chippewa culture or the characteristics of Chippewa people. And when I would read something, if I had any doubts, I always had my grandmother, you know, to check with, is this so? Have you ever heard this legend about Buju? And, you know, most times she was familiar with all of this culture that was just being introduced more or less in book fashion, you know, because it's oral tradition for Chippewa to retain their history and culture.
Grandma's not around any longer.
No, she's not.
You have to. Where do you get your information, and how do you?
Well, a lot of
Is
the
that a
stuff-
problem?
That is a problem because there isn't that much material available, although a lot of materials are being developed. And there still are a lot of older Indians, like my grandmother, who are living today, and people are kind of using them as resource people, and they're keeping a lot of the material, you know, that they can find, asking them a lot of different questions to verify some of the things that were written, say, in 1850 or the early 1800s about that lifestyle in that era.
Do you have some of your own kinds of research that you're doing beyond what you feel that would be incorporated in the school or could be? Do you have some pet projects that you'd like to accomplish?
Yes, I would really be interested in doing some research on the clans of the Chippewa people. Now, my grandmother belonged to the Fish clan, And I know many other people who belong to the Fish clan, and she maintained that all those people are relatives, that belong to one clan. And in other reservations, I find that there still are Indian people who kind of retain that identity with a clan. They associate their Indian background, and they belong to one of the many clans, that are part of our culture.
Is that, has Red Cliff, is there a conscious understanding of that Red Cliff?
Well, Chief Buffalo was, part of the Red Cliff band of Chippewa Indians. He belonged to the Loon clan. And of course, many of his descendants are alive here yet today, and they retain that identity with the Loon clan. And we have some people here that are Bears, and it's logical that they belong to the Bear clan, although it's not an awareness that's very strong.
It's important to you, though.
I think it's important, yes.
Some of the things that are important today, or some of the things that could be important today, have been lost because of the old people haven't been able to pass down that tradition. Is that part of what you're doing in school, to record, to write history, rewrite history? What are some of the important roles you're playing in education for the development or the continued development of reservations like Red Cliff?
Well, with some of the material that we did gather when we did research, then we have that available at the school, because if some student is interested, for instance, in, say, clans or legends of the Chippewa people or the lifestyles, then we have a certain amount of material that's on file, and the student will have access to that material then, so that he doesn't have to go through the same process we went through in, scouring books and talking to different people. And it takes so much time to gather that much information. So we've kind of documented it, and it's available at school for students and teachers, so that it's readily available rather than having to do 6 months research to find out.
We're now sitting in the Arts and Crafts Center, and earlier we had talked to Alec Roy. We're sitting here in the Arts and Crafts Center, and one of the reasons we're doing that, with the videotaping machine that we're doing today, is in a sense recording history too. We have been talking with people, and will continue to talk with different people. One of the questions I've been asking is, with the older people, or with people who have had some idea of past history, how do they look at Red Cliff today compared to, say, what either you found in your research or what your grandmothers told you? Do you think that it's a significant change over periods of decades or generations? Is it a positive change?
Well, you're talking about today. Well, I think that there's a very positive change in our attitudes, because there's so much more awareness that our culture is a rich heritage, whereas we didn't always have that kind of a feeling. We were rather not, I don't know that we were ashamed, but our pride was stifled with all kinds of other things that were taught to us were more important than our own heritage. And I think today that there's really there's a lot of pride and well, just arts and crafts, like say in this building here, like with the birch bark canoe. That was just unbelievable to watch that birch bark canoe being built, and to see these young boys taking it down to the river and to launch it, to get in the canoe and go down, and you think, my goodness, that must be how it was 100 years ago. What was wrong with that? Why did we have to stifle our pride for such a long time and then finally revive it? Although I think that, reviving it and learning all the different kinds of arts and crafts that we do, presently, are really very creative, you know. That's really one of the virtues, I think, of our culture is being creative.
Yeah. Do you think that, you mentioned revival, that it's a conscious revival that's being taken up by Red Cliff and maybe other reservations, other Indian people across
Yes,
the
I
country?
think all the Indian people all over the United States are
You've
having...
traveled a great deal.
Not really, but where I have been and where I have talked to Indian people, I have that same feeling that everybody is kind of coming to life with, you know, being Indian, and being proud to be Indian.
That means a lot of different things, I guess, being proud, being Indian. One of the things I know it means to me is an attempt at language. You're perhaps the most fluent person here in Red Cliff. Maybe there are more fluent people, but you're the one who's able to communicate the language better, and you've offered a number of classes. How do you feel as a teacher, as an elder, I suppose?
Well, you're very enthused if you find someone, you know, that is learning or that is at least interested or trying, you know, because then when that person can speak some of the words, then you can communicate in a special way. It's very special, you know. If I could sit here and tell you this in Indian and we could speak Chippewa rather than speaking English, that would be phenomenal, you know, as far as I'm concerned, because our language is not lost, really. Many people maintain that it's lost, but it's not. It's being retained. And I think that every time some student can accomplish, even to count from 1 to 5, or to say, I am going to town, or I feel fine, and to communicate to Indian people speaking their own language, that's a special kind of a communication.
There's a legend, there's a story, I guess, of how we got where we are at La Pointe, at Madeline Island. Maningwakaning, I believe that's how you say it.
Muningwanekaning.
Well, it tells how they traveled west following something. Could you share that?
Yes, our legendary history tells us that we followed a shell, and we call that Mede Magus, and it's supposedly a cowrie shell. Now, I've never seen one of those shells, but each time that shell appeared to our people as they were migrating westward, their tribe prospered, and then it would disappear for a length of time, and then there'd be hardship. You know, the tribe would have difficulties, and there'd be hunger, and they'd have all kinds of problems. So they'd migrate a little further westward. Then they'd find a place where the shell appeared again. Mede Magus would come back, and they'd prosper. And that went on for a period of 200 years. And finally we landed on Madeline Island, which is what we call Muningwanekaning. And that is supposedly where our tribe had the center of its activities for many years.
Do legends end, or is there a possible extension of maybe the light reappearing? There's been a time of darkness or some kind of disfavor.
Yes. Well, from how things are going for Indian people today, now, I don't know what... evidently, Mede Magus is something symbolic. And I don't know. I would say that today Indian people actually are prospering because they have pride, and we have retained, we haven't lost, you know, completely everything that is part of our culture. But we're prospering in that sense, and I would say, according to the legend, then Mede Magus has appeared again to Chippewa people.
That's good to hear. Some of the things that I guess should be recorded too are things probably that you're researching now and are going to document in some form or fashion. But I'd like you to share with us, if you can now, a little bit about legends. Winnebuju, interesting character as I know him. I don't know him very well. Seems you know him a little bit better.
Well, I could tell you this. This is one of the first legends that my grandmother taught me. And of course she repeated it many times before I could repeat it back to her, and she was very proud then, when I finally learned. This is a story about Wainabuju and the birds, and this is how it goes now. Gitchimewijagiwe. A long time ago, they say, Wainabuju gi kido. Wainabuju said, Wichini mi ding nongum. There will be a big dance tonight. Kakina beneshig de bijawadoma. All the birds will come here. Kakina owiya de minwendaguzi. Everybody will have a good time. Kakina awiya anoj inweak. Everybody sing different, sound different. Eniguk nimin. Dance hard. Migai kidod Wainabuju. That's what Wainabuju said. E kido dash Wainabuju, and Wainabuju said, Gawin dash awiya de wabisin. But nobody will be able to see. Gakina awiya de basingwabi. Everybody will be blindfolded. Midash giwe gajichigewad. So that's what they did. Nimiwad, basingwabiwad, dancing blindfolded. How, ikido Wainabuju, enigok nimin. Come on, said Wainabuju, dance hard. Enaguk nagamun, sing hard. O audash beishig beneshi. So one of those birds, inendam anindinaj webakoma. He thought, what's going on here? Mama kajigo Wainabuju ishichiged. It's strange what Wainabuju is saying. Midash giwe gimuj. So then they say secretly, O giwabman gajichiged Wainabuju. He watched to see what Wainabuju was doing. Minikigo debenad, Ogi debenad, Tunksh, Gishki gwebenad, Paganadoma. As many as he could grab, they say he grabbed, broke their neck, and he threw them on the side. Chibi bagedoao. He hollered loud, this one. Haya, Wainabuju is sigonan. Wainabuju is killing us. Midash giwe gakinawiya zegisi. So they say everybody got scared. Gakinawiya zagisi batod. Everybody ran out. O audash gabi bagid gibe kadisi. The one that hollered, he was slow. O giwabman Wainabuju. Wainabuju saw him. Ginishkadisi Wainabuju. And Wainabuju was angry. Midash giwe ogi pitangshkwad ogi boku banado pikwan. So they say he stepped on him and he broke his back. His back was broken. Midash giwe ishanaguzid nongo moao ishnikazo jingibis. So they say that's how he looks today, that one they call the hell diver. That's your Wainabuju story. One of your Wainabuju stories.
Are there 10?
Oh gosh, there are many stories. They have many versions, and some tribes refer to him as Nanabuju, some call him Manabuju. And I think most of the Algonquian people, which, the Chippewa are Algonquian, but there are other tribes like the Menominee, the Potawatomi. They also have their versions of Wainabuju stories, but they have maybe a synonymous name that, is not Wainabuju, but it may be Nanabuju, Manabuju, or something similar, but there may be variations.
I'm Bernadette Burdette, and I'm supervisor of Red Cup. workers, we have Green Thumb, we have CETA, Titles 2, 6, work experience, Titles 1, we have Title 3 through Great Lakes, and seated on my left is Alex Roy, who is a Green Thumb worker for park and maintenance. On my right is Ben Topping, who is a Title 2 worker out of CETA SEP. And next to him is Edward Roy, who is a Green Thumb worker also for park and maintenance. Next to him is Marilyn Charette.
They're made by Indians from another tribe.
Winnebago.
Winnebago Indians. That's all I
Does everybody do beadwork or just certain people?
No, all the girls do it, and all of the ladies that are on the Green Thumb. Not the men.
Men don't
No.
The only part the men who are the sorting of beads, or like on the God's eyes, the newer God's eyes that we have, the twirly kind there, they've been putting together for us, the sticks and stuff. But the men are mostly in line of making picture frames or signs.
They help out in the campground too.
They help in the campground. And that's about it.
You had a bigger staff this summer? You had the kids here?
Yeah, we had 60, wait a minute, we must have 60 some kids here through a youth work experience. And they worked all over the reservation, in the elderly homes, helping, cutting grass in the park, cemetery, getting that in shape, cleaning of the church and the office buildings, and at the elderly feeding, wherever they're needed.
Is Duck a good supervisor?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I had to have my coffee.
I'm sitting here, why don't you wait till I left? Get an honest opinion. That's not fair, Walt.
Yes, he is.
You don't think I don't wear his coffee and going to...
Now is mostly in working with elderly and in crafts.
There's a lot of crafts that's being displayed out in the exhibit area, and Agnes was putting up some stuff. Could she talk about what she was putting up? And
Those are refrigerator trims that we had, we call them the NYC Girl Neighborhood Youth Corps.
Yeah.
They help during the winter and up until 2 weeks ago, well, 2 weeks ago. We have been making beadwork and arts and crafts foam refrigerator trims. And we are going to do other things this winter, like making blankets and different craft ladies were talking about. All beadwork and all items that are on display in the other room here are made by Indian people. The only things that are not made here are the baskets.
For Title 3, housekeeper aid, helping the elderly. Seated next is Mary Livingston, who is Title 10 secretary. And Caroline Nawago is next. She's also Green Thumb. She's a helper with arts and crafts and maintenance.
That's okay.
All right.
Next one is Agnes Antosh, who is employed by Green Thumb as an instructor for crafts. And Bernadette Topping, who is on the Title III program as a housekeeper aide. Veronica Nawago, who is Title I work experience out of CETA SEP, is all around worker. Their general work right